In this problem, we're going to use two new Excel functions. One is the ceiling function and the other is the max function. We're going to look at the cost of shipping an item, $5 per pound, but fractional pounds are rounded up to the nearest whole pound. Okay, for that one, we're going to use the ceiling function, and I before E except after C, so the E comes before the I when you spell ceiling. And the syntax is bring up the ceiling function, there's ceiling.math or plain ceiling. They work the same. The author uses plain ceiling, so I'll use that. Take 0.15 and then round it. You need to tell it what significance. So for the nearest whole number, you want multiples of 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0.15 pounds will round all the way up to a ceiling because we're rounding up. The ceiling will be 1 on that, 0.47. If I copy this formula down, also rounds up to 1. Any of these numbers less than 1 and including 1, so the ceiling for 1 is itself, but then you get the least bit more than 1 pound, and the ceiling for that is going to round all the way up to 2 pounds. So all of these numbers should have a ceiling of 2, and then if you get the least bit more than 2, all of these numbers should have a ceiling of 3. Copy that formula down. And then 14.2, the ceiling should round up to 15. 25.7 should have a ceiling of 26. Okay, then you could go to the nearest half unit. The formula for that will be bring up the ceiling function again, take your number, and now your significance will be the nearest 0.5. So 0.15 will round up to the nearest half, which is 0.5. 0.47 should also go to 0.5, but as soon as you get bigger than 0.5, 0.852 would round all the way up to the nearest multiple of a half, which is 1. So if you get charged to the nearest half unit, then that's how the ceiling function works. Now the max function finds the biggest. So if I say equals the max, and then you put the numbers that you want it to compare and separate it with commas. So max of this, comma, that, this, so on. Then you see each of those cells individually listed with commas in between them. But the shortcut in Excel, if all of the cells, like you want to find the max of the column, start with cell E2 and then a colon, go continuously until you hit cell E13. So the largest number in this column is a 94. Now if I copy this over, so you can find the largest number in each of the other columns. You could also do the maximum number across a row. If I copy that down, so the largest number in each row is found. And again, you can find the max of, maybe I want to take this rectangle of numbers. That can all be written with Excel's colon syntax shortcut. But maybe I want to add in a couple of cells here and there. Then you can separate those with commas. And Excel will find the maximum of all of those. Okay, let's work out this problem. I'm going to put in some data just to illustrate what's going on. I'm going to go by half pounds for a moment. And the first step would be to find the ceiling to the nearest whole number. So bring up the ceiling function for the number of pounds to the nearest 1. So half a pound rounds up to 1, 1 stays on 1, half pound rounds up, so on. Okay, then I want to know the charge at $5 per pound. That's $5 times what I got from the ceiling function. So $5 and then up to $10, $15, and so on. Okay, now you have a minimal charge. In this problem, the minimal charge is $60. So even if you're shipping something for half a pound, you still have to pay at least $60. Okay, then the last thing we want to do is compare $5 per pound with the minimal, and then we're going to take whichever one is largest. So when we get heavier packages, $5 per pound, rounded up, would be $75. The minimal charge is 60. I want the bigger number. So we want to find the max of $5 per pound or the minimal, and then copy that down. So you pay the minimal charge until the pounds goes more than 12, and then you'll pay $5 per pound instead of the minimal. Now this is fine. I think it works nicely. You can kind of watch how the formula steps across. We're going to redo this and do it all in one formula. So let me copy my pounds over again. And then here I want the total charge. So watch the formula bar up here. I've made it larger, so hopefully you can see it. My first step would be to find the ceiling on the number of pounds to the nearest one. Okay, then once I've found that, my next step is to charge $5 per pound. So take that value and times it by 5. Then my next step is to compare for the minimal. So I want to do a maximum of $5 times the rounded up number of pounds, or 60. So start with your cell, find the ceiling, times by 5, compare it to 60, and find the max. So that single formula should give us all the same values that we were getting using all of these columns. Okay, so choose an Excel command to find the cost of the shipping. Do the maximum after you take the ceiling. Create a chart in Excel from 0 to 100 in steps of 5. Okay. Let me go from 0, 5, up to 100. And delete all the rest. Okay, and then create a chart. And graph it. So here's our minimal charge. Here's 100. There's our minimal charge of 60 until the weight gets above 13 pounds, and then $5 per pound. 5 pounds, cost is 60. 10 pounds, we still do the minimum charge of 60. 15 pounds, we now pay the $5 per pound. And the chart looked like this one, which is number 3, which is letter A. Give a list of x values where the function is discontinuous. That means there would be a big jump in the graph. This one had none.